To make sure everybody got a chance to get in. So a couple more minutes.
And not only that, it's actually, I would assume, I could be wrong, and this is what I would have to ask first.
Okay, sorry guys, my computer's moving really slow and I wanted to get these notes that we're going to be going over out to all of you. So I just put that in the comments. So if you want to download them for later, you can. So we have had a lot of fun with AP scores this semester or this year. So I just wanted to really kind of go over everything with you guys.
Hey, Becky, did you want to record it?
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh, is it? Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So, I had to close it to put it on there. So now I got to open it back up so I could share it with you.
Getting on that meeting. Yeah. I'm on it too. She said that they wanted to.
Move you guys over here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so AP scores. So what we have found happened is that there was some rules that changed from USHE, some USHE mandates that passed R472, which said that, which brought all the standard exams, AP, IB, the CLEP test, all of those are all under the umbrella of credit for prior learning. On top of that, they passed something that said that students are not eligible for credit for prior learning until they are degree-seeking matriculated students. That created some issues for us because now they aren't allowed to give students, CE students, credit for their AP tests that they took until they become matriculated. We weren't aware of the changes and they had to create a whole new department at SLCC. So they had all new staff. So they weren't aware that it was going to affect concurrent enrollment, so they didn't let us know. It's just kind of a perfect storm that caused a lot of issues. So from now on, students, when they send us their AP scores, they will not be able to get credit for those scores until they become matriculated. Let's see. So they're all now handled through the Credit for Prior Learning office. They are really on top of things. They're really working hard to make sure that all of the issues that were created because of this are getting fixed. We've been working closely with them for about 3 months now. But because our CE students are not considered matriculated or degree seeking, that caused a lot of issues for students that were trying to take English 2010 because they weren't getting credit for their AP Ling, which gives them English 1010. So it triggers issues there. When those scores received, the CPL office will enter these on as a test score rather than giving them credit now. So that's kind of the fix we've been really working on for this, so they can continue on to the 2010 without taking the English 1010 and AP language, because that's kind of redundant. So that's what we've been working on. They currently just barely got it all set up, I think Monday or Tuesday. And Brandon's been working with OIT last couple days to try to get it set up in my CE so that you guys can start tracking those AP scores again. So hopefully by spring we'll have all of those in and you guys will be able to see them. For now, until that happens though, we're just going to continue, you'll have to email me students that that are still missing AP scores, and I'll have to look it up for you. So they've been kind of sharing like a spreadsheet of all the students that come through that are personal interest. So that will be shown. We haven't figured out whether we'll be able to show it as like under the AP credit, or it'll just show as the test and the score, like you would see ACT scores. So they're still trying to figure out how they're going to have that come into my CE. On our end, it just shows as a prerequisite. Okay. So we got some stuff moved around, Brandon.
Did I move stuff around?
Yeah, you did. Sorry. I thought I checked that, but I'm missing some stuff.
Okay, what is it you're looking for?
It's okay. So one of the things that we are finding is, and we've got examples on when we get the sheet of the AP scores from College Board, it'll say the requested date, the sent date, and the requested date and the sent date. And what we found is it's taking about 4 months for us to receive them and process them. So we had test scores that were requested back in August, and they were sent at the end of November. We finally got them at the beginning of December. So between the time that it was requested to the time that we actually received them, it's about 4 months. That is not normal for College Board. There's been times in the past where we had some issues. This is probably the worst year I've seen that it's taking that long for AP scores. So on top of all the changes that USHE made and the confusion with the new department taking over these AP scores and making the changes that were mandated, we had the AP scores were coming to us so late that it was just, there was a lot of confusion. It was nobody's fault, and definitely not the students. So we've been trying really hard to make sure that the students get taken care of. So we should be good for spring now that we've got this all in place. This is kind of a temporary, this test score thing is kind of a temporary fix. AP does offer an electronic version, so we can get these AP scores sooner. However, it requires special software, which we do not have. So they are working on that right now to get that software so that we can start getting AP scores electronically. Due to funding and the IT issues, it's probably going to be about spring 2025 before we can get that set up. So this is kind of the process that they're doing to take care of kids until that happens. So right now they're saying that expires spring 2025. We'll have new procedures as far as AP scores in the future. But for now, I just want you guys to be aware that we have been working hard to make this easier. It's not anybody that wants to make these kids' lives difficult. It's not that we hate AP. We just have to follow the rules, and it's, you know, one of the things that I was worried about was students that are attempting to graduate, because a lot of these kids are using AP scores, AP credit for graduation. And so I did reach out to the graduation office and we talked about it, and they are working on that. And now that they're aware that that is going to be an issue, they do have a process in place to work with the credit for prior learning department to make sure that they can matriculate and get those degrees and those certificates still. So it really, nothing is going to change for you or your students. It's really going to be on the back end. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that we did think about that, and that is something that we're going to make sure that they're still okay there. They can still do the graduation commencement. They can participate in that. So it's not really any changes on your guys' end or your students' end for the graduation. They do the application. The graduation office will look and make sure they don't have any AP scores that need to be included. They'll matriculate them so those AP scores can be put on their, those AP scores can be awarded those credit, and then they'll process the graduation. Oh, okay. It's down here. Okay, you just moved it above the graduation part. So, or below the graduation part. So again, to award credit, SLCC must receive the official scores from College Board to be matriculated and be matriculated students. There are no exceptions. We're not allowed to give them credit until they are matriculated. So, and to use the scores as prerequisites, the official College Board score report will need to be sent to us. To do an appeal, no. This is sent by, sorry. So if they're not matriculated yet, they'll be sent to us by College Board. And we'll get those scores as a prerequisite. If we do not receive those scores from College Board, you guys can send an appeal. We have set up the credit for prior learning department with an account in my CE. So you will send those appeals on a support ticket. We have added a new thing on there. Some of you have already noticed it, that says AP test score appeal on the support ticket. And then we will assign that to the credit for prior learning office. If all of the documentation is there, then they will go ahead and do that test score, that prerequisite score, so that they can go on to take English 2010. English 2010 is the only one that is set up because that was our biggest issue. They are planning to do that for all of the AP test scores. But for now, right now, all we have is the English ones. The documentation that must be included on that support ticket. You will need to have this report that comes to the high school with the student's name. So we need to have, and then you'll do a late registration form. What they want on that report, they want some kind of signature or stamp or something that says the high school is verifying that this is, correct information. So it has to be stamped or signed, or you can even include one of those transcript verification letters that you guys send when you send transcripts for like ACP scores and stuff. So we need that report. We also will need a screenshot of when they had those sent to us, because they have to at least attempt to send them to us before we will give them an override for the prerequisite. And then the late registration form. So you will only be sending those scores to us during the week of the late registration period. We want them to try to register themselves, get those scores to us and so they can register themselves. So this is only an appeal if we don't receive them in a timely manner. They have to have tried to send those to us before our benchmark date. So we have that test score benchmark date that's usually coincides with the application deadline. And so we need to make sure that that they are at least trying to send them to us. Hopefully when we get that electronic version, this will become a whole different thing and we won't even have these issues anymore. But for now, we need to make sure that they're trying to send them to us. We need to have the documentation, and then we can give them an override.
Becky, I'm a little confused on when you mention on the, so it says, documentation must include the report generated by the high school. What is that? What report are you?
So this
referring
is,
to?
so all of the high schools has one person that can log in and get a report of all of their students. We don't need the whole report.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
need the whole report. We just need the page that has that student's name on there and their score. You can
Okay.
all the other students that are on there. That's fine.
Through the AP. So like I would go to Sudbury, who is our test coordinator, and he would go into the AP website and pull that up. So that's what you're referring to. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, what they don't want is they don't want that little report that the student gets in their email. They want it. They want what was sent to the high school. Our registrar's office is very, very particular, just because we do see a lot of fraudulent, students trying to pass stuff. They edit it and make it what they want and pass stuff off. And so it's just our way of keeping them happy so that we don't have to worry about that. So so they want what comes to the high school, not what goes to the student.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that makes sense. And will we be able to print this off, this little sheet that you've written out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I did, I put it in the notes, so you should be able to open that and print it out.
Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, thank you.
So is there any questions about AP scores and how those are going to be handled?
Becky, there was a question in the chat from Gail.
What happens if we get a prerequisite error? Then you'll just have to send me a support request so I can see if those test scores were added on there. But yeah, there shouldn't be a prerequisite error, because that's what they're doing is they've added that prerequisite test score into all of the English 2010 classes starting spring semester. So for spring registration, those will be on there. And then so if they're getting a prerequisite error, I would have to look at that individual student and find out why. Does that answer your question, Gail?
Yeah, it does. So give me the exact date that you want us to start doing these appeals or whatever. So is the appeal different than like a support request?
Well, the appeal will be on the support request. So this is if we do not receive their test scores. So if you can see, once we get those on MyCE and you can see them, they sent them to us and it's been like, 4 weeks and we still don't have them. And, it's past the registration deadline in that 1 week cleanup period, you can send an appeal that says they did send them, you guys just don't have them. Can you please, give them a prerequisite override to register for English 2010? Does that make sense?
Yeah, can we send it before that cleanup period?
No, because we want to try to get the AP scores to us and we want to get them to register themselves. This would be this would be kind of like a late registration / AP score appeal at the same time. So this is like a last ditch effort to get them registered for English 2010 if they absolutely cannot get their scores sent to us. I will say that AP has been a little bit better the last few weeks. We've been getting a lot more of the AP scores. A lot of the lists that people have sent me, there's more students that we have scores for than we don't. So I will have to give that to our Credit for Prior Learning. They actually reached out to AP and we finally started getting test scores from them. So okay, is there any other questions about that? Okay. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the support requests. We are getting a lot of confusing support requests, particularly for concurrent on-campus requests. And so my office support usually handles those now. And so I wanted to kind of go over that with you. When you are requesting a concurrent on-campus class, you can do it one of two ways. You can just put, like, if they want to do English 1010, in fact, we're going to do this. We're going to go concurrent on-campus request for spring 24. And I'm just going to skip those things. Right here in course information, if they want an English 1010, if you just put English 1010, we will give them access to all concurrent enrollment English 1010 courses. So just don't put a CRN on there. If you want to limit them to one CRN, then go ahead and put the CRN. What we really don't want is we do not want the entire description. Like we've gotten a lot that they had a list of classes. And you can put, all three, if they're asking for 3 classes, and you can put all of them there on one ticket. You don't have to send a separate ticket for each one. But some of them are giving us like the whole catalog description with the times and the dates and the location. And then we have to try to go through and figure out which classes those are. It just comes in as one big paragraph, and they have to, so and then they end up missing 1 or 2 of them because they don't see one in the middle there. So don't put times and dates and stuff on there. If you're going to limit them to a CRN, we just need the CRN, just need the class and the CRN. So you can just do, let's for spring semester, that, and then you can do a comma. That's my biggest thing with that right now is just, as far as requesting classes. The other one is if they are resolved, please do not put more notes on there. We don't see them. We get a lot of, every time a note is put on any support request, it sends an email to our general email box. And those don't always get read because there are so many of them. And so if it is resolved, don't put new comments on there. Just send a new support ticket. We're going to see it a lot faster. And in many cases, we don't see them at all if it's already been resolved. Do not restart my computer. Does anybody have any questions about support tickets?
So
Okay.
Becky, I have a question. This is Gail. I have a question. So sometimes you guys write a note back to us asking a question or trying to clarify something. So are you saying if I put a note back on there that note's not getting read to report back to you guys?
We will get those notes because we do go back and we look at them if they haven't already been resolved. So if they put a note on there, she usually needs more information on it, and we go back and look at those every day.
Okay.
If they're marked as resolved and like somebody requested a class, let's say, and she's processed it and marked it resolved, if they go back in on the notes on that ticket and say, never mind, they want this class, she's not going to see it. So here's that new one I was telling you guys about for the AP test score appeal. So if you go to our calendar, I will turn that off here in a sec. Yeah, my computer did some updates and it wants me to restart and it's moving really slow because of it. So for spring semester, the last day to add or drop is February 9th. So that entire week after February 9th, you can send that appeal. Okay. And that really kind of is also to help our credit for prior learning because they are super, super busy right now. We spent a lot of time of their time right working on these AP test scores. So the kind of limits it to a week where they have to process these appeals. So, and don't send questions about AP test scores on here because when Teresa sees these, she's automatically going to assign them to the credit for prior learning. If you have specific questions that you think I can answer, you can just mark it as other, or you can email me or whatever. But this is only going to be for AP test score appeals. I think a lot of students were still getting emails saying, you know, we received your AP scores and you qualify for credit. Just, you know, let them know that they actually, as high school students, will not get credit for those classes yet until they become matriculated degree seeking students. They're still trying to figure everything out and figure out who to send those letters to and who not to. So I've gotten a few questions from students that have gotten those emails, and I mean, they're welcome to reach out to the credit for prior learning office and they can explain it to them, but it was sent by mistake. So they will not be getting those emails. They should not be getting those emails anymore if they are still a high school student. As far as support tickets, I mean, everybody does pretty good on them. Just remember, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult. She gets a lot of these on-campus requests all at once. And so if she has to sit there and try to figure out in a paragraph, you know, the 3 classes that are being requested, it does slow things down a lot. So just all we need is that course and the CRN. If you're doing a specific CRN, keep the CRN off if you're wanting to have access to all of them. There are going to be some changes to the concurrent on campus. We don't know what those look like yet. Just so you're aware, we'll be probably going over those either January, February, just to let you know. Just because of what I talked about last time with the cross-listed sections going away. They decided for spring semester they couldn't do that, so that hasn't happened yet, and so they're going to have to make some changes to make it work for being able to have concurrent on campus. So once they figure everything out and have tested it and let us know what that process is going to look like, I will be going over that with you. And that is all I really have for today. Does anybody have any other questions? Or Brandon, do you have anything else that you wanted to go over?
I don't have anything else unless, yeah, we'll just take questions that people might have.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody had the information on AP scores because it's kind of a big change. And there was a lot of confusion because they weren't aware of concurrent enrollment students over there and gave me some wrong information, which I gave to you guys, unfortunately. So I just wanted to make sure that that was very clear with everybody.
Becky, you did have on the agenda, let's see, graduation hold updates, feedback on SLCC advising.
Oh, yeah, I just mentioned, I'd asked you if you wanted to see if anybody had any feedback on advising, like, does anybody, like, we're just kind of looking at SLCC's advising program and how that's working for everybody. You guys all feel comfortable with our advisors, they're giving out correct information. We sent out a survey a while back, so just kind of remind you guys that that survey is there if you guys want to give some feedback without being in this meeting. just let us know how that's going for you. We just always trying to improve things. So
There's a couple of questions coming in, Becky.
yeah, I was just looking at those. So on the details of the issue, for if it's like a concurrent on-campus request, we don't really need details. That's really just like extra notes if it's something that you need to clarify. So, and sometimes you can use that space to put the student's name if they're, they have the wrong high school or they're just not showing up in your list for some reason. If you're doing a request to change their high school, they won't be on your list. So you'll need to put some details down there of, what high school they're switching from and to with their name and their date of birth. So the details are really more just notes to clarify anything that you feel like needs to be clarified. As far as how long it's taking College Board to get these, yes, it's taking 4 months. Like I said, we had several instances where they were requested in August. The sent date that was on the report we got from College Board was end of November. And then, of course, we got them a few days later.
There are quite a few, though, that are arriving.
Yeah, since we started kind of bugging them about it, and I think a lot of our high school coordinators, you guys have all been kind of calling them and bugging them. Ever since that, they've gotten a little better about getting them to us. I don't know if they're getting them to us faster. I do know that we're getting a lot more of them, but a lot of those were ones that were already, requested back in May, June, July, August. So
they're not all taking 4 months, right? It's just there are some. The majority come in within 4 weeks. Is that right? Or
no,
you're saying the majority are coming in?
Majority are taking months.
Okay. I thought there were just a small exceptional few that were taking
No, we were, that's why I was so stressed out, because a lot of the kids that in May that had sent them to us when they took their AP test in May or early June or whatever, we still hadn't received them in September, October. So it was scary.
Yeah, good to know.
So yeah, we're starting to, I think, finally get the ones that were requested months ago. They haven't said. They didn't say. When everybody that I've talked to who has talked to College Board, they just say, oh, okay, we'll send it again, and they don't give it a reason as to why it's taking so long. Sorry, I think it's on the chat. Did you see are you in the chat, Laura? Is it not on there?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in the chat either.
Oh, did it not send? Hold on, send.
It might not have.
Oh, well, now I have it open again. That's why it's not sending. Hold on. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna close this. Sorry, guys, it hates me. I will be restarting my computer as soon as I am done here. There we go. Megan asked, I've requested a general course for a student instead of a CRN, and she keeps getting a campus error. I can look at her history and see what she's trying to register for. the 700 sections are the high school classes. So if they're trying to do a concurrent on-campus class, don't have them do the 700s, just so you know. 800s are the only ones that are our on-campus classes. If they go to a high school one, they may be able to register for it, but I'm going to drop them because the high school's not gonna, they have their own students already set up for that. I'll email out as well, Vicki, just so you're aware, and I'll probably have it available on our website too. So I just wanted it. I was hoping it had uploaded, but it decided not to.
And Becky, you had some reminders there on the agenda as well. Is that something you wanted to go over? Or
Yeah, let me get that agenda open. Sorry. Meeting agenda. Sorry, I was dealing, I got home and then I had to deal with computer issues and was not completely prepared. Okay, reminders. Oh, yes, year-long withdrawal deadline, January 12th. Grades, just remind your instructors to enter their grades, and then, you know, you can pull a report in my CE to see if any of your instructors are missing grades. I just want to, like, I've had a lot of missing grades in the past, so I just want to make sure that we get a lot of reminders. Our liaisons also remind your teachers, but it helps if you guys are kind of reminding them as well. The concurrent on-campus deadlines, they'll want to follow the academic calendar. The academic calendar, they forgot to put the date for the requests. So the deadline for on-campus requests is the first day of classes. So and that's always going to be the same. So whatever the first day of classes is, that's the deadline for requests. Admissions deadlines for February 2nd. That's also the benchmark for test scores and small balance holds. So remind your students that if they don't pay those, that doesn't mean they won't be able to register. But if they do it after that and they can't register themselves, then they will not be able to, they don't qualify for a late registration. So they have to request like ACT scores, AP scores, all of that has to be done by that benchmark, which always is on the same date as the admission deadline. Registration drop deadline, February 9th. And then your guys' late registration and that cleanup period that we give you to kind of help clean up any students that were not able to register themselves is 1 week after that. Course scheduling. I've got a few that you guys have already sent that I didn't get a chance to do. I will be getting those done today, this evening. So those should show up correctly tomorrow. If you have any, if you want to check that tomorrow and see if all of your courses that are listed are correct. If they are not, just send me an email. I will be out tomorrow and Monday, but I will get those fixes. Just let me know if you have classes that are scheduled that need to be canceled and ones that need to be added. I was going to try to do the next meeting on January 18th. We were trying to figure out what is better for you guys, morning or afternoon. Does anybody have any feedback on what time of day is best for you guys? Afternoon? Okay, so does this time work for most everybody? Okay. Okay. So I will keep it at the same time. So it'll be 1 o'clock. And hopefully I'll have a little more information on concurrent on campus for next year for you guys by then. And I think that's pretty much it for the main things that we really needed to go over. Graduation date. Oh, graduation date hold updates. That's right. We forgot to go over that. So when we switched to that USHE application, we had a lot of issues with graduation dates. The information they were sending us, either the graduation date was missing or they were giving us dates that were in the past. Brandon reached out to USHE and they were able to make some changes so that if it's missing or in the past, it gives us the date that is the date that was reported by the student. Other than that, they're still giving us some dates that may or may not be wrong. We're still working on those. But if you have students that you suddenly can't see, but they're still students, you'll need to send a support request and ask us. We need to know their graduation dates. So like if you're sending an email or you're sending me a whole list, you can tell me the students, but I need to know their graduation date because I can't update their graduation date if I don't know what it is. So just make sure that you're letting me know what that graduation date is so that I can update it. It's happening to everybody. So most of it, the ones that are getting marked as 2023 are seniors. Some of the juniors are getting marked as 2023. But even if they are in the future, let's say it's a junior and it says they graduate in 2024, they're going to have issues next year. So just let me know what their graduation date is and I'll get it updated. Hopefully we can get a little more accurate information. We've really been bugging USHE a lot about that one, but we're kind of stuck in that situation until they get it fixed. But we did it. I'm hoping that these two little fixes that they sent will make it less often. So I think if you pull the class sections with students, you can see students that are currently registered for classes, and it'll tell you if they're inactive. It'll have like a student status thing, and it'll say active or inactive. And I would just go through and at least find all of those ones that say they're inactive and then send me that list with their correct graduation dates and I'll get them updated. And that is finally it. What is the typical time frame for instructor applications being processed? Brandon, you want to answer that one?
Sure. Yeah.
Department thing. So
yeah, it sort of varies from one department to another. I mean, one of the things, so Amber tries to keep monitoring those, and if there's one that's taking a long time, then she'll reach out to the academic department and see if they can get that moving. So I have had a few high schools that have reached out and said, hey, this one, like, we really need to find out what's up with this one. And we've tried to expedite that. I mean, if everybody did that at once, then that probably would overwhelm me and the academic departments. But if there is one that's been sitting for months, then let me know, and then I can sort of nudge the academic department. Sometimes though we have no control over it. I can nudge them. I can reach out to their dean, and it still doesn't move because some of them are very, very busy right now. But for the most part, like most of them, if one's been hung up for a while and I reach out, it gets moving. So typical time frame, it's just all over the place. There is no typical time frame. We will get those all wrapped up though by what was the deadline? March 31st. Usually
yes.
Before March 31st, we're really pushing hard to get those all through. But I'll reach out to Amber, just a reminder to maybe go through and see if there's any that have been hung up for a long period of time, like over a month, and see if she can reach out to the academic departments and get those moving. And if that doesn't work, then I can reach out.
So yeah, in my CE, if you pull it's in the classes section of your reports, and it's called class sections with students, I think, class section with students. And it'll list all of your classes and all of the students are registered in those classes. And that just kind of gives you an idea of like, it's not going to capture all of your students, but I did notice that that particular report does show students that are inactive. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a head start as far as capturing students that may have issues in the future because they're marked as inactive. So like I said, it'll only pull them if they're currently registered for a class, but it'll at least help us, get these kids moving.
Does it have a column in that report for status showing
It
active?
does.
inactive?
It
Okay,
does.
good.
It'll show them if they're active or inactive. So
Good. So they can just filter by inactive, and that'll be a quick way to get to those
yeah,
students.
at least, like I said, it won't capture all of them, but it will help us get ahead on these students that are going to try to register in the spring. Okay. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions. I finally went through all the agenda. I think all of our main registration issues have been resolved, so. Okay, I am going to end the meeting then. Again, I'm here. I will not be here tomorrow or Monday, and I will not be checking emails, but I am here if you guys need any help with anything else or have questions about any of this. So.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all the work you do for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. I know AP scores have been a huge one this year, and there's been a lot of concerns about it. So